Thank you for tuning into this video as I interview individuals who are making a difference in the social justice scene in Santa Maria. Today, I will be talking with Abe Melendrez, who up until recently worked for CAUSE, the Central Coast Alliance United for a Sustainable Economy. He is the son of immigrants from Guadalajara, Jalisco. He was born in Santa Maria, California, but grew up as a child in Guadalajara for 10 years, where he learned firsthand about poverty and its effects on youth. He became the first in his family to graduate college in 2016, when he received his BA in psychology from the University of California, Berkeley. He is a proud alumnus of Santa Maria High and Allen Hancock College. Although he has recently left CAUSE, he continues to support work to help the underrepresented communities in Santa Maria. Thank you, Abe, for agreeing to do this interview. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about your work with social justice. So why don't we start with the first question, which is, how did you get involved in your particular area of social justice?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it all kind of comes from my experiences, in my childhood, growing up, being both, I would consider myself both second generation, but also fourth generation. So my great grandfather, immigrated to California, worked on the railroad back then, and had my grandma here. And my grandma and my aunts and my mother were all farm workers. So definitely growing up with a farm working family, very much, people that, would go to protest and would definitely struggle because of the conditions for farm workers. It was something that I just got to experience as a child, both here in the US, but also in Mexico, living in poverty. Also definitely shaped a lot of my worldviews. And so when I was in community college, something I really wanted to do was volunteer. And at the time, CAUSE, back then it was Pueblo here in Santa Maria, was actually looking for college students to help um, register voters, other students as voters for the 2012 elections. This was, Obama's second term. And so, as a college student thinking I could change, I could help change the world, now that I volunteered, and slowly I started really getting more involved into things. My time in Berkeley really allowed me to see things such as the Black Lives Matter movement, the fight for $15 minimum wage. So I participated in a lot of those things. And so when I came back, CAUSE was, Pueblo was now CAUSE, and they were actually seeking for a position. And I decided, this was a perfect opportunity for me, since Santa Maria is my hometown. And very much the first thing that drew me was a farm worker. That's always been my first thing, was farm worker rights, but then obviously immigration very closely, and everything else, and then it just kind of got sucked into policy, and started learning about all kinds of different things.
So can you talk about some of the work that you did with CAUSE, the impact that you were making, because you did make a big impact on various issues, including the farm workers issue. Could you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, I mean, for me, CAUSE was definitely an incredible experience. I learned the most there than I've ever learned in my whole life. Whether it's at college or other things. But I quickly got thrown into actually I was hired just a couple weeks after Trump got elected on November 3rd of 2016. I mean, yeah, 2016. And so I was very much coming into this work in a very heavy mentality, but heavy in the way of like, okay, we're gonna have to bunker down. We have to resist. We have to hold. For our communities, and so it was gonna be very much a defensive fight. Is what I remember. Just having the mentality of we have to defend our community right now, because we a lot of us felt. I think on the election night, a lot of us felt, and the weeks after, that there was going to be this looming um, thing that was going to happen in our nation, right, in our communities, and a lot of people are still shocked about other things that this administration has done. But I think for me, again, having my life experiences both in Mexico and here, I kind of figure this is what was going to happen. So it was definitely an amazing experience to have. I got the opportunity to work directly with farm workers. I got the opportunity to work directly with families. Some of them who their parents were being, for example, with youth who their parents or father or mothers were being deported, working to fight for policies in Sacramento. Like there was really what I really enjoyed was that there was just a variety of things that we're working on, because social justice means so many different things, right? Environmental justice is another big one, housing rights. And so there was definitely not a dull moment there. Um, but I think what I really liked about the organization and working there was that um, it really gave me an opportunity to both do the grassroots organizing, but also the policy. Oftentimes a lot of organizations focus on one or the other. They're very much policy based, but maybe they don't really know what's happening, day to day with workers or families, and vice versa. Being able to actually have the knowledge, the tools, even just the vocabulary to go and directly talk with lawmakers, from local to state to national. It was definitely good to be able to advocate on all those different sites. But I think for me, that what made the biggest impact was I always thought of my organizing as the more invisible I am in some ways, the better I'm at my job. Because what we wanted to, my goal was is to highlight the community members that oftentimes get ignored, the farm workers, the immigrants, who oftentimes don't have a voice or, get pushed out, and the youth, all of the youth of color and everything, who get pushed out and don't even know that they could directly be talking to their, to lawmakers and speaking for their own interests. And so I think, I got to experience a little bit of everything, whether it was youth organizing, farm work organizing, but also obviously one of my passions is in photography and in video making, videography. And so it was really nice being able to use those passions and mixing them with the social justice movement and to empower them.
So I realize that you are no longer with Cause. What are your plans, both personally and also with future work with social justice issues?
Yeah, well, I definitely look forward to staying involved. Like I mentioned, this is something that I've been involved, in marches since I was, 10, 11 years old. I remember going to all my first farm worker marches and immigrant rights marches. So it's definitely, and Santa Maria is very close to me and very dear to me. And so I definitely think that even if I didn't want it to, I definitely would still be, if I didn't want to, I would definitely would still be involved. I think for the time being, I'm obviously taking some personal time, to recharge. One of the things that I've really been getting more into, and I think it happened naturally, or even while I was working at Cause, is I'm really interested in how to use the arts um, with to help advance social justice issues and movements. So one of my as I mentioned, one of my passions is photography, videography, and I also want to know how visual arts, how I can use those to help advance some of that. And so it's something that I personally never got a chance to explore as a kid, growing up, in the ways that I, with how I had to grow up, in poverty in Mexico, and then having to learn a language here and just everything being rushed didn't give me an opportunity to explore a lot of the things that I enjoy personally as well. So I definitely want to do that. But, you can't take the social justice out of me. So that's what I look forward to, is how do I mix the both, and also just how do I become an effective volunteer? I think one of the things that a lot of people don't appreciate is, and I think for people that have volunteered, for years now, kind of get that mentality of um, how do I become a better ally, a better volunteer? How do I not just add more work, or more like, I want to do more of this, or I want to do more of that, but instead, how do I help advance what the disadvantaged people, what the community really wants, especially again those that don't have their voices out there, or being heard. How do I help advance that? And so yeah, I wanna help out in a capacity of a effective volunteer. Now, I guess it's one of the ways I look forward to doing that.
So how can the Methodist Church better help support the efforts that you see the social justice issues here in Santa Maria?
Yeah, I mean, I think again it's related to that volunteer mentality, right? Of how do you become not an ally but an accomplice, right? I really like that distinguishing those two terms of an ally versus an accomplice. Um, when I think about, obviously I've had privileges as myself, and how do I take advantage of those for the benefit of those who don't? So I think for the Methodist Church, and just for organizations in general, again, really thinking about helping others because you want to help them, right? You want to advance their progress. Um, you want to help preserve the like advance their humanity, and their, uplift their experiences and their challenges, instead of doing it because you feel guilty, or doing it because you want to get something out of it. As they say, oftentimes you get the most meaning out of things that you don't expect, right? And usually when you're seeking that, when you go with a mentality of seeking to get something out of it, you oftentimes find that you don't get that, and it's oftentimes when we don't expect it and when we get it. So I think going with those mentalities, of how do you become an accomplice for someone else, is really really the most fulfilling way that you can help others, versus again, doing it because you're frustrated, or because you just found out about this, and you're in shock, when a lot of times, people that are suffering, like immigrants and farm workers, and many others, are saying this is how we've been living for maybe even hundreds of years, right? And so just go with a humble mentality. This isn't something that you need to feel guilty for not knowing about, but don't put it on others' shoulders to to have to teach you, to have to train you, and really think about how you can be a good student. I guess is the way that I would put it. We're all going to be students for life. Social justice is a life, it's a lifestyle.
So is there anything else you'd like to talk about in this interview?
I just so one of the reasons I'm taking some time off is because one of the things that really got kind of me thinking a lot is, where does radical love start? Um, and for me, the idea of radical love has to start within oneself. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided I needed to take care of myself and do things for myself, because I didn't want to go into social justice thinking of it as a job, as a duty, as a I have to, but I really wanted it to be something that I personally feel passionate about, but in something um, that gives me something, that it factor, right? That doesn't quite come from things, and so. I think, if we want to express radical love for others, we have to start with ourselves, and so definitely would encourage folks to not bring the pain, the hurt, oftentimes that we get to the movement, unless it's some it's for a purpose, but to be careful to take care of that. because again, we're dealing with social justice isn't just this abstract motion. This is about people's livelihoods, feelings, and so a lot of it gets really messy. It is very, very messy. Mental health, physical health, everything wise, and religiously, right? Spiritual health. And so I think, like they always say, if you want to help others, first you have to help yourself. So definitely come with a grounded mindset, and that's how you're going to be able to express radical love for others.